cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today we're taking a look at the 7th issue in the Blackest Night, Brightest Day sub-series, Indigo-1. And this is another obscure one, everybody. Unless you followed the Blackest Night, Brightest Day comic books, you probably have no idea who this character is. Basically, she is the leader of the Indigo Corps, also known as the Indigo Tribe, and they use the power of compassion on the color spectrum in the universe. She has not made any appearances, at least to my knowledge, outside of the comic book universe, so we're going to dive right into her magazine, which of course will tell you everything you need to know about the only Indigo member in this collection, Indigo-1, and then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's another, I think, very nice figure in the collection. I always like having another female hero represented, and I think it's quite a stunning figure, but I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy issue number 7 of the Blackest Night, Brightest Day sub-series collection by Eaglemoss, Indigo-1. First up, the character section. Indigo-1 is the leader of the Indigo Tribe, one of the most mysterious corps out of the entire color spectrum. Their mission is to spread compassion across the universe. She first appeared as Blackest Night descended across the universe, and Black Lantern Corps members were rising from the dead, saving Hal Jordan, the Atom, and even Sinestro. It's also revealed that the indigo light that she wields can also manipulate the green light of willpower that the Green Lanterns use, and the yellow light of fear that Sinestro and his Corps of Yellow Lanterns use. Hal and Indigo also discovered that when they combine their powers together, they can actually destroy Black Lanterns. Indigo traveled with Carol Ferris, Hal Jordan, and Sinestro across the galaxy, seeking out the other color spectrums, hoping they would join so they could destroy the Black Lanterns. She even helped Sinestro battle against the villain known as Mongol. Indigo and her allies successfully recruited the Blue Lantern St. Walker, the Red Lantern Atrocitus, and the Orange Lantern Larfleeze into their cause, and returned to Earth to find the Black Lanterns running wild. Indigo used her powers to summon the other corps to Earth to aid in the battle against the Black Lanterns, and also turned the heroic Atom into a member of the Indigo Tribe. After saving the Earth from Necron and the Black Lanterns and ushering in the Brightest Day, Indigo-1 and her tribe disappeared along with the resurrected body of Black Hand, only to return months later, and, much to Hal Jordan's shock, he was informed by Indigo that Black Hand was undergoing rehabilitation with the tribe. Next Next, we take a look at some more of the classic stories from the Blackest Night event, and since there are so many this time, I'm just going to do the simple little summaries of each story, instead of going on about each one. First up, we have Starman number 81, Blackest Night. Next, we look at Adventure Comics number 7, Blackest Night. Our next one-shot is Catwoman number 83, Blackest Night. One of my favorite, The Phantom Stranger number 42, Blackest Night. And finally, another great one-shot, The Question number 37, Blackest Night. Indigo's iconography section is a nice big 2-page fold-out poster featuring the Indigo tribe in all their glory, along with the logo behind them. It talks about how the Indigo color is compassion on the emotional spectrum of the universe, that their homeworld is unknown and they may even be a nomadic tribe, and finally, in the bottom corner, the untranslated, and to my knowledge it has not been translated, Indigo tribe Oath. The Friends and Foes section features yet again nothing but Black Lanterns, including Black Lantern versions of the traitorous Teen Titan Terra, the evil Maxwell Lord, and the heroic Ice. And lastly, we have yet another chapter to the Book of Oa that talks more about the Green Lanterns and their powers. We learn that very few are called to be Green Lanterns, usually one per sector of space, that they undergo strict training with drill instructor Kilowog, and that they use their willpower to summon constructs made of pure green energy into basically anything they can imagine. Each member of the Green Lantern Corps also receives their own personal power battery, which, to humans, looks like a Green Lantern. Finally, we learn that if a Green Lantern is killed, their power ring will automatically seek out another candidate that it deems worthy of being a member of the Green Lantern Corps, and that the Green Lantern known as Mogo, a sentient planet, is the one responsible for guiding those rings to the suitable candidates. And here we have Indigo-1, leader of the Indigo tribe, or the Indigo Lanterns, and I really love this figure. She is, in my humble opinion, one of the best figures in this entire collection. She impresses me a lot. She's extremely accurate to the way she was depicted in the comic book, and she is very thin. She's very lithe and very attractive, I think, too. They did a really gorgeous job on her features. Her facial features especially are really well done, especially when you consider the scale of these figures. Love all the markings on her. They have the bandages on her wrists, and I like how this one has a little bit of it hanging off. And her lantern staff is really nice. It has a great paint job on there. It's sort of hard to make out here, but you can see, especially around the top, that has like a blackish swirl with that nice indigo color. And the paint on her, well, what little she wears on her skirt and on her top, has a slight reflective metallic fleck to it. You can see it there a little bit in the light. But it's extremely subtle, and she has all her markings, all her tribal tattoos. She's also barefoot, as she is in the comics, which is great, and they did every toe. Her ankles have some detail, and her feet are slightly off the ground. It's really cool. You'll see more of that in better detail, because she is so tiny it's hard to really see all the fine details like this. So we'll look at what else is really nice about her, and the things that I don't like, in just a moment in the next section. Indigo-1 stands atop the Indigo Tribe logo, and the underside of the base features her name and serial number. And so you can compare, here she is next to her friend and ally, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern. Along one-time member of the Indigo Tribe, the Atom. And alongside a representative of the other members in the color spectrum that have been released so far. Indigo-1 may be a simple-looking figure, but I think she is one of the most outstanding in this collection. She has exquisite details that are beautifully done here, especially when you consider the scale, in addition to being an extremely lithe figure. What they've done, I think, is very impressive. We'll start as always with the good. I really like the pose a lot, and the sculpt on this figure is exquisite, especially in her face. Not only do you get the sense of her being a compassionate character, there are just fine little details all over pretty much every inch of this figure. The paint is also really nice and pretty clean for the most part. Starting at the base of her feet, of course, are barefoot. You can see every toe on both feet have some detail. Even the sculpting on her ankles, her calves. She, of course, has the tribal markings on both legs there on her calf, which are not only sculpted details, but also hand-painted. Also, she has the tribal patterns, the tattoos on her upper thighs. I really like the color of her skin, too. You can see it's not really white, it's a purplish white. It's very cool that she has this violet sort of color all over her, including the skirt, which is really well molded. I like that it looks like it's blowing around a little bit, and there is some slight metallic fleck in there, like most of the other Lantern Corps characters of other color spectrums have had. Her upper body, again, is very, very nice. She almost looks like a supermodel as far as her build is concerned. She's very thin, she's very tall and leggy. I also like the metallic collar around her neck. It's nicely detailed and painted. Her arms have great details, the tattoos on her upper arms on both arms, and they're both wrapped in bandages, which is straight out of the comic book. And I wanted to point out real quick, she has no ring because her staff is basically her ring. And I like how the right arm has that little bit of the wrappings just dangling there. It's a really cool detail, and again, lends to what a cool sculpt it is. And I also like that she has her lantern with her, which of course is the staff. It is connected to her hands, it is not removable, but there's a really great pattern all over it as far as the paint goes. It's this deep violet and black sort of swirl all throughout, except of course inside the lantern, which has this really nice glowing whitish violet sort of color inside. It's a really awesome detail. And finally, her head sculpt. As I said, she looks compassionate. I love all the details that are actually sculpted onto the face, whereas issues ago we did Batwoman. There's very little sculpting to her face, and Indigo here, you can see her lips are molded, her ears on the side of her head, even the roots of her hair coming out of the scalp are all molded in addition to being hand painted. Also, the tattoo on the forehead is hand painted, which is the Indigo Tribe logo. Love the hair with the jewelry on some of the tips there, and how again it looks like it's blowing around. Her face, her eyes are even that violet color, and it's just, I think, a really stunning figure. On to the bad, which are pretty much nitpicks, to be honest with you. There's some minor paint bleeding, and the only other sort of complaint I have is the logo on the chest is a decal. However, like most of the other figures in this collection, I forgive it because she is a very small figure, and it's a very hard logo to paint, so I can see why they decided to go with a decal. Finally, the ugly. Pretty much everything about this figure is fragile. That's the key word with this girl, fragile. Her pose lends to that, having the base in her bare feet. Both feet are barely connected due to the way she's posed, with them sort of lifting off the base. The staff, of course, and the wrapping around her right elbow where it's dangling off, all very fragile points. She will break in multiple places if she falls from too great a height. Overall, I really love Indigo. I think it's a great figure. I think she's stunning to look at. I love the alien type of characters, and she is just cool. She's got the purple skin, the neat outfit. I love the lantern staff as opposed to a traditional lantern. It's really cool having her on the shelf next to Hal Jordan, especially if you're familiar with the Blackest Night, Brightest Day storylines. I think it's a great pose, but she's definitely not for everyone. I have to stress that. Unless you're familiar with that storyline that she's connected with, you will not know her, and you probably won't care very much about having with her unless you're a completionist like me. But again, I think she looks fantastic on the shelf, especially when you have her as a representative of the Indigo Tribe among the other members of the color spectrum. And I really like her a lot. If you like this series, I highly recommend adding her to your collection, or if you're just a fan of Green Lantern, pick her up. She's really cool, and she is the only Indigo Tribe member in this collection, so that's another good reason to pick her up. But I hope you have enjoyed my review of Indigo-1. Again, another favorite of mine in this series. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next figure in the collection. We're going back into the regular DC superhero collection with this one. And it's a really cool one. He's a former Hollywood stuntman who became a superhero, and he's sort of obscure, so you may or may not know him. He's been around for quite a while, and I think it's a really cool figure, so stay tuned for that quick teaser. As always, I'm your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.